All right, everybody, the Metal Block back at you. Thank you so much for joining us. We're so grateful to have you checking out the episode. Still doing the interview thing. So, we got another great one in store for you today. Before we begin, go check out what Brando's putting out on social media. Like, comment, respond to the stuff he's posting. Let us know what let us know what you liked about the show. Let us know if you want to hear something else. We love hearing that stuff. So, reach out to us. Just let us know what you think.
Let
So,
us know if we should just stop.
yeah. Do you think Metal Block is any good or not? You guys are probably like, these guys again, but y'all keep watching. So, thank you. Um, anyway, so what are we doing today? Well, we're going to keep on talking about some good metal. And we have an exciting guest today. We have a guest that released an EP in 2025 this year, and it is just killer. And we are going to get into that. And I can't even hold the excitement. I know you guys are used to hearing me just rant on and on and on here in the beginning, but we're going to get right to it. We have with us here today Grand Devourer from Germany, and we're so pumped. We are so pumped. This is a big deal for us. We haven't had too many international guests. And then on top of that, we actually are, as of, I think, Brandon, right, our second international guest, because Necrotic Gore Beast was the first.
Hmm.
Um, we have been extreme fans of both of the bands that we have had the opportunity to interview. And so this is like, like the kid going to the concert and getting to meet the band for us. And, we have such a geographical separation that this brings us all together, and thank you for technology. Hey, why don't you guys, first off, thanks for being here, and why don't you guys take a second and say what's up to everybody and let them know who you are and what you do. Do you want to get started, Kai?
Yeah, of course. Good morning, USA. Thanks for having us. It's quite a big honor for us as well because we don't have that much interviews at the moment, and it's first and foremost, it's the first time we are talking to someone outside of our own borders. Oh no, that's not true. No, it was not an interview. It was just a review from Austria, but that's another story. So, to introduce myself very shortly, I'm Kai. I'm the vocalist of Grand Devourer, and I'm very happy to be here. At the moment, I'm on a vacation on a camping ground in the Netherlands, on a small island. But I said to myself, I will not miss this chance to be here.
Yeah, what an introduction. Thank you very much for having us. I'm Norman, or Norman, how you would say it, from Grand Devourer, and I'm playing the drums. Obviously, you can see it behind me. This is the stuff I'm doing in the band. So, yeah, that's about it.
Hey Norman, this is funny. You're right. The pronouncing, like the way it's pronounced, is a slight difference. Here's what's kind of crazy about it. The town I live in is Norman, Oklahoma, Norman. So, it's like you will always hear me saying it the way that I pronounce the town.
Yeah,
Here in the town. So, but yeah, it's so great to have you guys, and we're super excited. We're going to get going with some questions. Brando, he's already got a list going. He's going to get us started. And I'm going to sit back. I like to interrupt a lot. So forgive me in advance because I jump in and I ask silly random questions and I take the conversations in weird directions. But ultimately, like, we always get some good laughs and we're excited about today. So, Brando.
So Brando's got the list with the questions.
Yes, sir.
So
I
you're
did
making
share
a
them with
list.
Zoomy, so he might interject as well. But
Okay,
yes.
so you're making a list.
Well, it's the yes.
Do you checking it twice?
I am. We'll see how if you're naughty or nice. Guys, like Zumi said, we're big fans and thank you for
Thanks.
coming on, but just like let's get into learning about you guys and Grand Devourer. So we'll start with you, Kai. How did you get into metal music? Like, what's your metal origin story?
Oh, wow, that's a wild one. I think I first came into contact so that I've noticed that something like metal is out there at very young age because I was a child of the 90s. And when I was growing up, it was this crazy times where Morbid Angel was on MTV on a regular TV program. And so I've come to notice the existence of extreme metal very, very early. But I get back to this, I think, when I was something about 12 or 13 or 14, maybe. It was in a time, I think it's a usual age where young people are getting interested in some kind of music. I think in the age below that age, you're just listening to what your mom and dad is listening or what's on the radio. And I think when you come to this age, you start wondering, okay, what is this? What is that? What kind of music does define myself? And when I was at this time, there was a absolute uprising of German gangster rap music. Um, I think it was at a time where 50 Cent in the club, this era, and this was the point where every German rapper tries to be as authentic as 50 Cent or others. And it was a very big thing, and I noticed very quickly that it doesn't touches me at all. It doesn't give a shit to me. I just did not feel it, and I've always got this weird feeling like music is not something I would just like to listen to. I must feel something. Maybe it just have to hurt me a little bit. Maybe in my ears or in my heart when I'm thinking about it, or just the feelings that it awakens in me and stuff like that. And at this time, I remembered from my past. Oh, there's this thing out there called death metal. And it was not like many other people that have a story like, oh, my older brother was already into metal and he gave me my first Iron Maiden LP. And from that on, I was just escalating higher and higher in how heavy or how aggressive the music was. For me, it was just like, okay, I have the urgent feeling inside of me. I need something very brutal to hear. And I want something extreme that gives me some sort of extreme emotion. And I very quickly came in contact. I think the first death metal band I've come in contact with was Morbid Angel and stuff like Bolt Thrower. And from there on, I very quickly dived into black metal. But it was something that happens parallel. So it's both at the same time. I um, just getting familiar with both parts of this genre, death and black metal. And yeah, I think that's mostly how I find my way, or I've gotten into this music.
And that's really cool. Normally it's just people kind of are like randomly exposed to it, but it sounds like you went out searching for it, to find something to
Yeah.
meet your emotional needs and like actually searched it out. Like that's cool. That's awesome.
Yeah, I think it was maybe because um, my personality has always been driven towards being extreme in certain things. Um, well, that's not completely right. It's more like I always had the tendency that my emotions are quite extreme, and that I'm the feelings that I have are very strongly and not that shallow like maybe other people experiencing it. And it was something that was absolutely clearly inside me that I'm what I'm looking for. I just did not have the name for it, or just the idea what the bands could be. Um, yeah.
Very cool. Norman, how about your metal origin story? How'd you get into metal?
Well, I have grown into it. So it's actually a little bit like I explained it earlier, but the other way around. So my family was always very musical, and my father was a singer in a blues band when he was younger, and my older brother plays the drums as well. And my mother introduced me to a lot of rock bands, stuff like Queensryche when I was younger, Casablanca, which in the early stuff I'm still a fan of, obviously. So it was actually like that. And when I was a little child, I started to play the piano when I was about 5 or something like this. And I played it for 9 years, but nothing other than learning a little bit Beethoven stuff and, this kind of shit, And when I was 15, I started to pick up the drumsticks and I started playing drums in bands. And I've never stopped since then. So this is the short version. And I was really growing into it. My first record, my brother handed me my first record ever. I think it was the Stray Cats, some best of sampler, something like that. And then I continued with a Kiss record, Unmasked from the 1980s. This was when I think Casablanca Records was selling all this stuff to Polygram, I think it was. And my father was involved in this recording stuff as well. So this is how it all came together for me. And I went on to listen to classic bands, hard rock stuff and heavy metal stuff. And when I was growing older, I obviously was more interested in the dark stuff. And it went on from there. So this is the short story. And music was always, it felt always very spiritual to me, I would say. So the drums, piano didn't really click with me, though I was quite good when I was a child. But I totally abandoned that because it was not really my thing. But drums always clicked with me because it was such an intuitive instrument, and it was really the feeling of it. It was some subconscious thing going on there when I listened to music and was able to play it and pick it up and didn't really have to think about it, which is quite funny because later on I went on to teach the drums, and obviously I had to know what I'm talking about there. So I have the theoretical knowledge as well, but it came very natural to me, and it was more I already practiced it, and later on I learned what the hell I was doing there. So this is my story.
I think that's awesome, man. Like growing up in a musical home where you can kind of explore and find out what that, because you're right, music does have like this, even people who might not say the word spiritual, everybody, whenever you talk about how music makes you feel, they know what you're talking about. And that is, that's why it's like the universal language,
Yeah.
or at least one of them. I think maybe love is a universal language too, or something. But, music being one of them, and you had the opportunity to have the support from your family. And I know how important that is. My parents bought me a guitar. They weren't musical, but they bought me a guitar whenever I was like 12 years old. I always wanted to be a guitar player. I still to this day want to be a guitar player. But I realized after many years that I really, just didn't know how to have the ear for guitar. And I think it's because I didn't listen to music in like maybe the way a guitarist would listen to music or something. And so I really learned, and it was after I met Brandon, that I could play the bass. And I thought, well, what do you do whenever, it's kind of like those who can't, or those who teach. How does it go, Brandon? Those who
can't do,
teach, and those who can't teach Jim, right?
Yes. Yeah, I think that's
so those who can't play bass is what I always said. And so I picked up the bass, wanting to be in a band, wanting to play music, still wanting to have that guitarist in me. And my grandparents went out and bought me my first bass guitar. And so now, again, none of my family was musical, but they all still supported it. And that was a big part of me becoming a more confident bass player. And, I just do it for fun, but I still talk about my grandparents buying me that first bass and how important that was to me. And both of them have passed now, but I will never forget that, my whole life. And so it's so important to have that support. And it's really cool that you did too. And Kai, whenever you mentioned Morbid Angel, I immediately thought about some of my beginning death metal
Yeah.
influences, and Morbid Angel was right there. You know, we got a chance to see them several times because they toured with Pantera often, and anytime
They
we
are
went to
very
go,
good live. They
oh
are
man,
very good live band. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, and so I was always really respected them, and so whenever you started talking about Morbid Angel, it really, I always say, kind of takes me back, and it
Yes.
does. It helps me remember, you know, like where I was too, and sometimes if I were to tell my origin story, then I listen to you guys tell yours, and I realize like, oh yeah, I forgot a part about mine. I forgot a part about mine, you know, and so
Yeah, I think when I'm remembering it correctly, I think it was the song Rapture. There's this weird with the brownish tone in the whole video with this one guy killing another guy in a hotel room or something like that. If I'm remembering it correctly, I think it was the first one I saw from Morbid Angel and one of the first death metal songs I've ever listened to. Um, yeah, but as you said, it is so damn important to have these support. I mean, how many very talented metal musicians are telling the same story that they have a background and a home or a childhood where they have been supported towards being into music. For example, Tobias Forge from Ghost. He's said that his mother is constantly buying him LPs and instruments and stuff like that, and I think that's very very important. Or it's so fucking cool if you have the opportunity to grow up in a household like that. It's a good thing. Uh, yeah,
I think it contributes
Absolutely.
to so many good musicians too because they're allowed to find their sound.
yes,
They're allowed to really grow into it. And we've had a lot of bands who have done the interview on the podcast here with us, and they've mentioned how grandma helped buy them, you know, their first set of drums, or their mom went out and bought them the double bass pedal that they wanted, or something like that. You know, it's there's no shortage of those stories, and I
yes,
think it all goes back to how supportive the music community just has to be in general for one
yeah,
another. And I mean, that's how I always say the whole train keeps going is we're out there, you know, supporting each other, and sometimes the bands are supporting the other bands until the fans, you know, figure out like, oh
yeah.
wow, I didn't realize these guys were good. You know, you had to hear that band you liked that promoted them before you realized these other guys are really good too. But I didn't know. I had to listen to my band first. And anyway, it's just the support is important for how we progress, no
Yeah.
doubt.
You want
That's
to
one.
hear my Morbid Angel story as well?
I
Yeah,
would love it.
come
Yeah.
on, give it to us.
My favorite song is, I think, Where the Slime Live is a fucking great one from the Domination record. Yeah. And I actually, funny story, I didn't really know them. And I saw them live for the first time before I ever listened to a record because I went out on a Nile concert and Morbid Angel was playing with them together with, I think, Creator or something like this, a German thrash metal band. And I was actually surprised how well they sounded. It was a fantastic sound, and actually, I was a little bit disappointed when I listened to their records afterwards because I think it's not the best sound actually. And I think it's not like in black metal that's on purpose. It's just not as bombastic as it's live. And I think our bass player Loma has played actually with some guys of Morbid Angel, but not when they were Morbid Angel, but these other
I am
incarnation.
morbid or stuff like
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Oh, I am morbid. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah,
yeah,
because
yeah,
there was a split up between some of the
yeah, yeah.
original members, and yeah.
Right, and I think Loma, our bass player, opened for them with this other band at the time or something like that.
Oh,
Yeah,
cool. Awesome.
yeah, very cool. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
really
heck yeah.
cool.
So maybe I've got two other anecdotes to close up this topic about how you came into music, um, how you came into how our journey was into the subculture we're at the moment in. There's one who's a bit sinister, and the other one, the one afterwards, is to lighten things a little bit up. We've talked a lot about how important it is if you've got a background at home that supports you and growing into being a person who's into music, and how it is a great thing. Unfortunately, to be fair, my father is a musician himself, not a professional, but he's into country music and stuff like that his whole life, and he's been on stage for his whole life and stuff like that. But unfortunately, my father was very tyrannical, and he did not supported me in growing into some sort of person who has the option to express himself in music or stuff like that. It was more like my escape strategy, and it was more like a way for me to channel and let the negative emotions out, and to relieve me from the pressure that has come with growing up in an environment that felt so hostile to you even as a child. And it was a perfect way for me to project or reflect the kind of aggressions and anger that I have inside myself. And when I listened to the music, it was more like it's hard to explain, even when you more than when you're not a native speaker. So I tried to figure out the right words. It was more like seeing a little bit of your own emotions, but also it was giving you a room to express it, not in words, but in the way how you feel it. You're hearing a riff or you're hearing a song, and it certain feels like, oh yeah, damn it, this is the way I feel at the moment, but I don't have the right expressions to know how to do it. Something like that, yeah. And yeah,
I think you're doing excellent, my friend. I hope I can keep up with your English, man.
Oh no, and you are so right that having the support, very important, but how we also, whenever we find metal ourselves, like in your story where you went out and you found it, and you were really looking for it, it didn't maybe come to you as easily. Especially, with your father maybe being in country and western music, I'm sure he didn't like the heavy metal music very much either. My dad was in country and western. He doesn't like the heavy. He doesn't understand it. But he always just let me, still find my way. But with you going out there and doing it, you have a different story of how you found metal. And I talk about this on the show a lot too, about how we all like wind down these crazy paths, and
yes.
then we get to come here today, and we're all in the same spot today to sit and talk about it. And it's just, it's interesting how life brings you together. And metal is one way that, it brought, people together. It's brought you together with others. It's brought you together with us, and those kind of things. And so, everybody too, who doesn't have the support, they can still find metal. And a lot of times it's because of that feeling, because of that release, because of like you said, being able to express the word or the way you feel without having to say any words, because there might not be any.
Yeah. And the second anecdote, to lighten the things a little bit up, when it suddenly popped into my mind when you talked about that you've always wanted to be a guitar player until you figured out you're probably never going to be one, is on every occasion when we rehearse with our band, Norman already knows where this is going. I'm constantly harassing my other band members with the information that if there would be any chance that I would have the voice to be a classic rock singer, I would instantly leave the band and play in some top 40 classic rock cover band.
I heard that a lot of times, yeah.
I think I wished I had the voice from the singer from The Darkness. I don't know if you know them. I believe in a thing called Love is one of the greatest hits. It's so freaking good.
those guys, the way he can sing is insane.
Yeah.
I remember the first
Yeah.
time I heard it, I was like, "What am I listening to right now?" I mean, you're right. He has a range that is unbelievable, and a sound that isn't like a lot of other
Mm.
people's sound. Has a very unique sound, and as musicians, we definitely strive to do that. What's funny is me being a musician, the way I developed my style, I guess, if I would even call it that, was by trying to copy what other people do. But I've also heard many musicians who are like, no, 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 I'm trying to do my own thing. And I explained it as, well, even when I try to copy others, I can't. So it ends up being my own thing, is what it turns into. Because, and I've said this on the show before, John Petrucci from Dream Theater, he's an amazing guitarist, and he mentioned one time that he got the new Van Halen amp, or I think it was the EVH amp or something, that he had gotten. And he was like, I was so excited, but whenever I plugged it in, I still sounded like John Petrucci. So he still sounded like himself through Eddie Van Halen's amp. And it just goes to show that you're still, music, you're still just who you are and who you're trying to express. But yeah, way to lighten it too.
I think you're a kaleidoscope of people who you are influenced by. So obviously, when you hear me playing the drums, as every drummer was a kid in the early 2000s, there's a little bit Joey Jordison in there, obviously, or this paradiddle stuff you're doing with the beats, and Mike Smith from Suffocation, or this hammer blast stuff. He was really the first one who did it,
Ringo Starr.
This suffocation stuff is obviously in my playing as well, and stuff like that. And I'm a huge black metal guy, so you're listening to all this 90s black metal influence, and obviously it's always a little bit funny, but obviously the band I listened the most to was Kiss. And I have to say they are probably my favorite band, because in terms of the albums that they put out, it's massive, 20 something records, and I like almost all of it. So yeah, obviously you are influenced by the people you are listening the most to, and so there is this mix, and there you go.
Oh yeah, I'm Megadeth all the way. I can listen to any Megadeth song, and that's my old school band, probably like 80s style, or it's 80s, so it's probably as far back as I go with a band that I could listen to every song, and I'm like, it's fine, And one day my wife played a trick on me. We were outside working in the yard, and the radio was playing, and it was just the regular radio, and she was like over there turning the dial on the radio, and then all of a sudden Megadeth was on there, and I was like, oh, okay, cool, she's gonna leave it here and play Megadeth. And then after that, another Megadeth song came on, and then another Megadeth song came on, and I was like, this is the greatest radio station ever. Well, she had turned it to her Bluetooth and just started playing Megadeth for me, because I was working out in the yard, and she knew it would help, cheer me up. And so
Nice.
it was funny. It was funny though,
Very
because
funny, yeah.
I was just like song after song, and she doesn't know all of their songs, but every one she was picking, I'm just like, great song. And she wasn't picking just the radio ones like Symphony of Destruction, which is a great song, but when I listen to Megadeth, I'm listening to the other songs, because I've already heard Symphony of Destruction many
Yeah.
times. So
I fucking hate I Was Made for Loving You, and it's the song that gets always played, especially in Europe and Australia. I think with you in the US, it's not like that big hit from Kiss, is it?
no,
Yeah.
probably not anymore. The one that always comes to mind for me with Kiss is I wanna rock and
Yeah,
roll
rock and roll
all
all night.
night,
Yeah.
the party every day. That's the one.
Obviously.
I hear that one a lot
Yep.
still to this day. Like, so if they're ever kicking back the classics and they pull up some Kiss,
Yep.
that's usually the one that like comes across.
Zoomy,
I
I
think
need you
greatest-
to do that one more time, and put a little more Kiss in it. Okay, that was a little that just
With a little Kiss.
I think the greatest Kiss song of all time is "God Gave Rock and Roll to You," because it was a soundtrack of I don't know how the movie is called in America.
Bill and Ted.
Yeah,
Bogus
just Bill and
Journey,
Ted, right?
I think it's in
Yeah.
English, yeah?
It's the
English
Bogus Journey. It's the second one.
Yeah.
that they did, because that is the movie. This is funny. Movies and culture, how they influence our, musical taste as well. But that is the movie, because I was a huge Bill and Ted fan back then. I was a little kid. Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey, Primus was actually in that Battle of the Bands. And so they're playing Tommy the Cat, and it just cuts to the Battle of the Bands, and it's the very end of Tommy the Cat, and he's like, say bye-bye. And she's like, the girl comes out and goes, let's give it up for Primus. And I remember thinking, man, that guy could like play the bass like crazy. I don't even know if I knew it was a bass then, but I just was like, this is a different sound of music. And I started checking out Primus because of Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey. But you're right. God gave rock and roll to you, God gave rock and roll.
Not my favorite song. It was on the Revenge record as well. Eric Singer joined the band then, and is my favorite drummer of Kiss all the way. But God Gave Rock and Roll to You was actually a sad song, and because it was the last recording with Eric Carr, who died of cancer. 91, and he was already that week that Eric Singer did play the drums already, but I think Eric Carr is on the how do you call it in English? There is a section where they only sing and there's no instruments,
like a cappella.
A cappella, thank you, my friend.
Yeah.
And Eric Carr is actually on that, and it was, I think, the last time he recorded with Kiss, with is actually a very sad story, but anyway.
What brings me to another very, very cool fun fact. I have to mention this up because we're talking about old movies.
Yeah.
Do you all remember the terrible Street Fighter movie with Jean-Claude Van Damme?
Yes.
Oh no.
Yeah.
And the guy who's playing General M. Bison was the same dude who played the father in the old Addams Family.
That's right, Raul Julia.
Yep.
Yes, and he was already sickened with cancer at the moment, and
I think it was
knew
stomach
that
cancer, wasn't it?
Yeah. And he knew that he would be dead in a very short amount of time, and he did take this role to do a favor to his kids because they liked the Street Fighter games so much. And when I was a child back then, I hated the movie because it was so goofy. But nowadays, when I'm watching it with this knowledge back in my mind, it just gave the movie such another impact.
He was fucking great in the Addams Family.
Yeah.
Yeah. And another actually cool thing about the Street Fighter movie, the little like henchman that was going around trying to get that was Double Dragon. Never mind. That was Double Dragon.
Was there a Double Dragon movie?
There was a Double Dragon movie, and Robert Patrick, who plays T-1000, is in that. And I almost got them mixed up. I actually did in my head for a moment, until I was talking and then just had the realization I was speaking about the Double Dragon movie on accident. But yes, I did love the Street Fighter movie, though.
Yeah, it's cool. But there is this Australian pop singer who's playing the female lead role in it. I just forgot the name of her. Kylie Minogue. She was smoking hot back then. But Robert Patrick, who played the T-1000 and in Double Dragon, recently played the father of John Cena in the Peacemaker TV show.
Hey, there's a season 2 coming out later this year.
And I'm fucking excited about that.
Yes.
I loved the first season, and I in particular love anything James Gunn has done so far. I'm not sure how good the new Superman movie will be. 2 days ago, I found out he even wrote the script for the 2004 remake of Dawn of the Dead from Zack Snyder. Didn't notice that before. And Robert Patrick is also the head of a motorcycle club called the Booze Fighters.
Yeah, he's the president of one of the. Yeah. I don't know if he's of their charter chapter, but of one of their chapters. Yeah. And that he was also in Sons of Anarchy because of his roles in, or because he was such a big biker that they got him in on that show too.
Welcome to the movie podcast.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Steve O from Jackass is also in this Booze Fighter motorcycle club. But okay.
So the last thing though is how do we bring Kevin Bacon into this story and tie it all together? Because Kevin Bacon's in everything. So we'll be thinking of that. Be thinking of the connection to Kevin Bacon. There's got to be one, and then in the end there will be a big reveal. I hope. All right, Brando. What's the next question?
Well, for those of you who thought we were going to talk about metal and Grand Devourer today. We'll come back to you a little bit. Um, what why don't you guys tell us a little bit how did the band come together? Members and then also like just the whole concept for the band, the name and everything. Like give us a little rundown on Grand Devourer.
Okay, I think I should start because
Yeah.
Norman just entered the band later. So it was actually during the pandemic. The older ones might remember there was this weird thing called COVID a couple of years ago. And when we were all sitting at home and have nothing else to do than, I don't know, drinking and jerking off and stuff like that, I was remembering, you once had this hobby where you meet up with other people and just making music, and it was very fun. And yeah, now to be serious, it was just like myself and our guitar for one of our guitar players, Hank. We had played together in a band a couple of years ago, 8 or 10 years ago, or stuff like that. And during the pandemic, we both felt the urge to make music again. But we have lost contact during this period, and we both, at the same time, thought about, oh man, there was this dude back then we played together, and I think I should call him and found out if he is still into music. And I'm not sure who contacted whom, to be honest, but one of us called the other one and was like, "Hey, dude, are you still into music?" And the other one was like, "Yeah, and I would like to ask you the same question." And that was the birth of the idea to make a new band. And the other thing is the last band I've been in was Spearhead, and it is a bow thrower tribute band. And I've met their drummer when I was starting the band back then, Spearhead, Marvin from Hanover as well, who moved here from Frankfurt. And I already had a deal with him when I left Spearhead that one day we will be making our own music together. And so I called him as well. And so we are three guys, and we start writing songs and rehearsing. And it was very complicated back then because in Germany you have um, this weird regulations that you cannot meet with as much people as you want, and you always have to check up because these rules could have changed weekly. It was always very on time back then, and every week we have to, or every 2 or 3 weeks we have to check, okay, is it even possible that we rehearse at the moment or is it not? And so the start during the pandemic was a bit slow, but later on we found Alex, our second guitar player, over the internet, to be honest. And it was a
I think
jackpot.
I'm sorry. I think Lomma informed me that you get your timeline wrong when we talked after our last interview. I think
Is it?
Lomma was first and then Alex.
Is it true?
I don't know. I wasn't even there.
This is called the Mandela
I'm
effect,
just responding
ladies and
to
gentlemen.
feedback.
Maybe I'm not quite sure. So, but Lommer, to be honest, Lommer is an absolute powerhouse in the German metal community, and especially in Hanover's metal community.
Yeah.
He has so fucking much stage experience and studio experience, and he is one of the most enthusiastic musicians I have ever met in my whole life.
And he has
And
always something going on. Yeah.
yeah, and he's always some good stuff cooking. He's also the bass player at Pighead, who's a very great brutal death metal band, and
Yeah, they just released something like last
yeah,
month, I think, right?
Mhm.
that's right.
Yeah.
So he's an absolute powerhouse. And when we heard the rumors that his main band, it was back then Critical Mass, is falling apart or who is stopped making music, we immediately called him and said to him, "Dude, I don't care. I just suck your dick. It doesn't. I would do anything. Just come over." And luckily for me, he let me suck his dick, and and then he was into the band. And I think maybe then we found Alex on the internet. And then we start the regular process of writing songs, rehearsing, stuff like that. And when we were in the middle of our recording process, um, Marvin's wife is has become pregnant again, and so he's waiting for his second child. And that was the moment he was simultaneously also playing in Spearhead as well, who were heavily touring at the time. Even nowadays, they're often in France and Great Britain and stuff like that. And he said, to be honest, I have to quit one of the both bands, and playing in a tribute and cover band is not that much effort than making own music. And so he, I wouldn't even say he left the band, he just quit playing for us due to, yeah, schedule problems. So he's still a part of it in our heart. But that should not sound like that Norman was some kind of don't know filler, or just someone who don't know, was just a second guess, or something like that, because we found him very quickly, and we were very worried back then, because finding a good metal drummer in Germany is a hard thing, and in Hanover there are not that much of them. And we are very happy that we found him shortly afterwards. Marvin left, and to be honest, it was a blessing at the end, because I think I can say that because Marvin and I were talking very openly. I think Marvin was already very occupied with all of his private life, and that's absolutely understandable. And I am I fully on his side on this one, but he was not. I think he lost a little bit his creative flow, and I wouldn't criticize him for that, because his head was stuffed with other things, like, I don't know, just founding a family and stuff like that. And when Norman came up into the band, he brought so much more influences and energy and creativity and stuff like that. And I think it really helped us to reach the next step on the ladder.
I
And it
love
was,
you too.
Hey, but what you're talking about too reminded me of something that Norman mentioned earlier, because he talked about, like, we're just a kaleidoscope, like that is projecting the influences that we've had. But that's what our music is too, only it's a kaleidoscope of all of us together now.
yeah,
And so you talked about the influence and the creativity that comes in, and we often talk about it here on the show about anybody can, well, most people can pick up, an instrument and write some music, but a lot of times what it takes to really see this creation become something amazing is have influence from other people. And
yeah,
all somebody has to do is say, hey, instead of that where you do the da 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 da, just go jun 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 in that one spot. Just do that right there instead. And then the person's like, all right, let me give it a try. And then now all the whole band's doing jun 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 in that one spot, and it works and it sounds good, and it's made the song better. And that was one of the things I thought about, kind of with what you're talking about, and how the
yeah,
influence came in, because you're right, especially whenever we get new band members that we like and that are really good. Yeah, we're not taking away from them. It's just, or we're not taking away from anything. It's just adding to,
mm,
the formula and the soup. It's making the soup better.
Yeah, but
yeah.
can I interrupt you for 1 second?
Of course.
I was goofing around, but in all seriousness, I'm very glad that I could join this band, and I'm uh, I'm really happy that I'm appreciated that much, and just wanted to say that so it doesn't come off like you get it.
Oh yeah.
I think what is a very good coincidence for our band is that we what is the English word for it? Um, yeah,
Let's
when you
just talk German now. Nein, nein, nein.
moment, what is the English word for ergänzen?
Ergänzen.
Yeah,
Du fragst Sachen. Um,
Don't cut this out. Now we're
yeah,
solving
yeah.
things in
This has
German.
to be.
This
Has
this
to
is
stay in.
great.
And
Um,
now you know what
against
I
just a
just
moment.
Googled.
I ask Dr. Google
He said he
what it
had
means.
to. Okay,
Yeah.
maybe what is the right word we could.
Let's talk about Bergsteigen.
Add to. Oh,
Yeah,
Kai, we are idiots to add to
yeah.
something.
Oh,
Is it, this didn't catch it. What I meant. It's more like we complement each other.
Yeah. That's
We
it.
complement each other in the
Yeah.
way how we word.
all right. So
For
here's the word:
yeah,
synergy.
yeah.
Yeah.
Synergy.
There you go. There you go. So we found this synergy in each other, and there's a very good example for it in a conversation that I had with Lommer. Because we both have very different angles in how we looked at a project we are working on at the moment. And I once said, this is because it wasn't meant without disrespect. And he instantly know what I'm talking about. I said to him, Lommer, the point is, you are a highly skilled and professional death metal technician. And I'm a death metal artist. And we both brought this angle into the band and built this synergy where he was always, Lommer is always deep into not only into the musical side, but also he's also the one who's organizing the band most of the time,
Oh
who's
yeah.
doing the business part, who has the experience, who has all the contacts and stuff like that. But he's also the one who who's giving the structure that we use to work, like when we are in the songwriting process and stuff like that. And I'm nothing like that. I'm nothing like that. I'm a total ADHD brain, and my mind is constantly flipping around everywhere. But this is another quality that I brought into the songwriting when I maybe have an idea that an organized mind wouldn't have, or that I always see. I never considered myself to be a musician because I don't play an instrument. I'm just shouting and screaming, and for the most part, I didn't even know what the model of my microphone is. I've recently found out it is an SM85, but I'm not into that stuff. When the other guys who are playing the instruments are talking about their gear, it's total gibberish to me. But what I know is I have an emotion, I have a feeling, I have a picture in my head or something like that. And I know I want to paint this picture with my voice and with the sound that we create with the instruments. And this is a very good thing to combine. This professional mindset who has the skills. I don't want to say he's not creative or stuff like that. Don't get me wrong, but I'm sure you know what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're a vocalizing poet.
Maybe. Yeah.
Yeah. I like it.
He's a poet and he didn't know it. Yeah, I think though that a vocalist, somebody who's in, just doesn't play any other instruments, because we see, bands that the vocalist is also playing guitar sometimes and stuff, which is insanely difficult. But the vocalist, he does have a little bit of a different job, whenever it comes to the band. And I think what you touched on is a very important part though, because the imagery, like the vision that people are trying to get whenever they listen to the song, like you're trying to help them understand it in a way that you understand it. Because I know music says something different for all of us, but at the same time, if it spoke to you, hopefully it'll speak to somebody else. And I think, with a lot of the music that I've been listening to lately, one of the things that I focus on is like, what does the picture say in my head about the song that I'm listening to? And sometimes whenever, and this hadn't happened in a while, but whenever the picture in my head doesn't match what maybe the artwork was on the album or something, it's like I have trouble even connecting with this for a while. And it doesn't mean it's bad. It just may require me to listen to it a few more times before I fully can understand it. But I think it's important, though. It's important to paint the picture. in the way that you want people to see it. And I think that helps people receive the music,
Yeah,
better.
absolutely. I think there are some different ways to engage into being a vocalist in an extreme metal band. So, for example, when you have bands who are more into gore stuff and something like that, I often hear from them that they consider the vocal to be some kind of extra instrument. It is only there to make crazy noises or to create a certain sound or melody or stuff like that. And I don't want to compare them or just rank them. They're all equally. Um, but the other way to engage in this vocalist game is to say, like, you know, I would like to rephrase that. Um, this was not the first band I was in, and in other bands I do something like that. I just wrote generic gore lyrics with the idea in mind that, oh, I'm just an extra instrument and I'm doing crazy stuff with my voice. But in Grand Devourer, it was more like, I found out that when there is something within the lyrics, even the audience didn't hear it because you do not are really able to listen to the lyrics in a death metal song. So, but when I wrote something where I'm connected to emotionally or in any other way, it helps me to put more energy into it. And at the moment where I feel it while I'm performing it, it channeled absolute different type of energy. When I'm just singing about something that is changeable, if it was just a generic gore lyric, I can exchange it with anything else, and it wouldn't bother me. But when I have something that while I'm singing these words, while I phrase them in my mind, it is connected to something. It gives me this extra 10% that brought me from 100 to 110.
Yeah, and I think, having that mindset, you can feel that in the music too. There's a difference in the way that the songs come off between like just your brutal, guttural vocals where it's just kind of just noise to make noise and like be another instrument in that sense where they're adding a separate melody versus the intensity that comes through an emotional written lyric that stands for something. But at the same time, with that mindset, I think you're selling yourself short because it's not like you're doing just one vocal style either, right? So without knowing it, when you're switching from highs to lows or just doing some of those extra techniques that give your voice a different sound in different parts, you are adding like another instrument to the song because if you change that at all, it changes the way that that part of the song comes off and is interpreted. And it also is a good form of expression for, what you're trying to express, but that all leads into that song and makes it sound the way it is. So even when it's like what you're saying is more of an emotional response and not just doing melodies and stuff, it is still another instrument, whether, just like you're just not maybe not seeing it that way. But it absolutely is, because if you changed it even slightly, if you where you do a low, you do a high instead, that whole part of the song is going to change. So, and you
So
have,
you hear that? You're a musician. You are a musician.
yeah,
Now,
for sure.
what I'm referring to, yeah, of course, in the end, I am. I'm fine with that. What I'm referring to is the fact that it always felt a little bit like, you have these band colleagues who are just bringing up their gear and they're talking about so much stuff that makes absolutely no sense for me. They're practicing their instruments for years, or in some cases even for decades, to get constantly better. And of course you can improve as a singer. That is not what I'm talking about. But to be honest, I think during the last decade I sound the same, roughly. And I don't have to constantly rehearse at home or just train the instrument. I'm just attending every 2 weeks at the rehearsals, and they're always sounding the same. And someone like Norman, who on his drums, he has to practice on a regular basis, just just for not losing his muscle memory and stuff like that.
Exactly, or I will fucking suck at the next gig.
Norman,
I'm
how
not
much
sure.
how much time, like how much practice do you get in?
Oh, it depends from time to time. I think I try to practice 1 hour a day, but obviously you've got other shit to do, so you don't always get to have that kind of practice time. But yeah, that's what I'm aiming at least. And because my neighbors are fucking idiots, I have to, of course, calm it a little bit down, so I will not get jumped or something like that.
It's a
You
good
know?
thing about those electric kits, right?
Yeah, you would think so, but yeah. Well, let's not get into this too deeply. But there are people who still think that this is too fucking loud, and that these are real drums, and so.
Mm, yeah.
Playing the drums is not the best idea if you are not living in a house which is isolated in the deep dark forest. I think no, but in all seriousness, our guitar players can play at any time, and I think Lommer, the madman that he is, goes at it at his bass playing at 5 a.m.
Yeah.
If I'm correct, and so obviously I can't do this stuff. So as a drummer, you have always that difficulty of can you practice, when can you practice, and all this. Yeah, really, that makes you angry because you want to, but you can't. Yeah, I'm sorry. What?
I'll say, yeah, there's definitely some unique challenges, when it comes to drums and just
Yeah.
being able to play them.
But what Kai mentioned is right. If I don't practice enough, it will take its revenge on me, you could say. For the stuff that we play in Grand Devourer, it's really no birthday of a child, you would say in Germany. It's really challenging stuff. You have to.
German sayings sound so fucking stupid if you translate
Yeah,
them.
really. Yeah. Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
It sounds like
we
you're
say at home, we say, das ist kein Kindergeburtstag, which means it's very hard to do,
you sound like you're telling me one from the horse, my good friend.
Yeah.
Hey, Kai, one of the things though that I gathered from what you were saying earlier,
Yeah.
was that, you are writing lyrics, and
Yeah, that's right.
some bands aren't writing even lyrics, or they're coming back and putting the lyrics in after the fact, after they've determined the vocal sound that
Yeah.
they want to go. And so, what I'm hearing too is, some of these metal vocalists view themselves as another instrument. And you're like, yes, but I view myself as a vocalist for the band, and you're writing lyrics. You're taking different steps that some of them I'm not seeing them do that, and so the meaning behind the lyrics isn't just to fit something in. Like, the meaning
Yes.
behind the lyrics is like you said, an expression of the feelings. And so kind of going back to the poet thing that we said earlier, and I totally understand what you're saying. I get the vibe you're putting out with that, about how it's a different kind of preparation, it's a different kind of role. And you're absolutely right about that, and I used to, before you just said this, I'm going to think about it now differently anytime somebody ever asks me this. But I used to be one of the people who was like, the vocals in metal is basically like another instrument. Now, most of the time, whenever I was describing that, though, I was trying to explain it to somebody who doesn't listen to metal. However, whenever I'm, talking with other people who listen to the metal, I usually think of them as vocals, kind of like what you're saying. So it is different depending on who your audience is whenever you're talking.
Yeah.
about how you describe, what that role is. But I get exactly what you're saying. And you're right, like exactly what Norman said too. If I don't play bass, I forget how to play bass.
Yeah.
That is absolutely, I forget how to do my gallops. I forget how to move my fret hand in ways that were maybe like I could do it quicker, and now like I'm struggling, my hand's getting sore because I can't do it that fast now. So the muscle memory, you're absolutely right. The level of preparation is not the same at
Yeah.
all. And
Yeah.
but I am admiring like your ability to write these lyrics and create this song, by not just saying, "Oh, that sounds cool," but also saying, "Hey, this is what the message I want to express. How do I make it sound cool?" And I
Yeah.
feel like that's, the added layer there that I'm seeing in what you're bringing to the table to the band. And I love your vocals because Brandon was right about, you got to give yourself that credit because you are an amazing vocalist. And we really dig, I've talked to him about, like, before we even had you guys scheduled for any interviews, I remember Brandon and I talking about, just how much we really liked the variety that we could hear in the vocals that you were, in the EP that you guys just put out, which everybody, I don't even think we've mentioned it on the show. We keep talking about the EP, but it's Traversing the Void is the name of the EP.
Yes.
And
Right.
it was released in 2025. And I think if I'm right, there's seven tracks on this EP. It's not super long, but it does the job. Like, what's awesome about it is I was able to listen to it several times through, and I was really able to get a good understanding of it very, very early on. And one of the tracks I love, I'm just going to throw this out there. I keep wanting to say Under the Pale Horse, but it's Beneath the Pale Horse
Yeah.
is what it is. And I love the way that song starts. And I love how that song just evolves and moves throughout. And that's the vocals. I also love the bass stuff. Did you say Lamar? Is that how you say it? Yoma. So I love the bass. Like, one of the things me as a bassist, and you kind of said this too as being a vocalist, Kai. You're like, gear. I don't know all about the gear stuff, and everybody talks about it. Well, I know about bass cabs, basses, and maybe the bass head, and that's about as far as I go into the bass world. But one of the things I've really been wanting to learn more of are, how some bassists add effects to their sound and give it a crunchiness that's almost like a distortion, but it's not. You can still hear the bass, you can tell it's a bass, and that was one of the things listening through the EP, that whenever I heard his bass, just wanted to throw this out here because we've been talking about him so much, that I heard the crunchiness in his bass, and I really liked the bass tone that he got. And I've never been a fan of the effects on the basses until here recently, but his being one of the ones that stuck out to me, and I was like, I wish I could get a sound like that. That's pretty cool.
And this is where we hit the point when we said he's an absolute madman and powerhouse. So a part of his work was when we are recording and when we are at the process of growing our live setup and defining our sound. He said, we all have frequencies. I just have to break it down on a very simple kind of way, because I'm not a musician, as we already found out.
Yes, you are.
I'm not an instrumentalist. Okay, let's put it there. And every instrument is playing on a certain frequency. And when two instruments are on the same frequency, the sound is getting clumsy or something like that. So he and Hank and Alex start working on how they can avoid being on the same frequencies with their instruments, so that the sound is very clear. This is the kind of madness he brought into the band. Luckily.
This is brilliant. I've
Yeah.
never heard anybody explain it that way, but it makes sense, right? Because your bass is going to be located in a certain place on the
Yeah.
frequency spectrum, and your electric guitars are going to be located in a certain space on the frequency spectrum. And it doesn't mean that you don't catch any low end on the guitar, you don't catch any high end on the bass, but where the majority of it lives, it's kind of like a bell curve,
Yeah.
where you have the average, and then you have like some outliers that are over here, but you have your average that's in there. And so it's really interesting. I could see how if you had two sounds that were the same frequency,
Yeah.
you would have difficulty picking out which instrument or which sound was coming from which source. I could completely see. I've never thought of it that way. That is such an awesome point to make out.
And we are very lucky that we also had a very, very talented guy in the who mixed and mastered it for us, and it was Nino Helfreich from Skulltone Studios, who was also an absolute madman, who's doing a great job. When we start recording the EP, we didn't know for our own how we will sound at the end. And to be honest, I don't even have a clear vision of that. But he brought something into life that I didn't even know that I would wish that it would sound like that. It was a fantastic job.
That's back to Norman's kaleidoscope.
Yeah.
Didn't know we'd talk about your kaleidoscope so much, did you, Norman?
That's gonna
But
be in.
I wanted to say a fancy word, some shit that I know.
No,
And
that's
Norman
good.
does not speak often, but when he speak, it always had a huge impact.
For sure.
That's what matters.
So one thing we hadn't touched on yet with the formation of Grand Devourer, tell us about the name Grand Devourer. What is that? Where did that come from?
Unfortunately, that is a question where I have to answer first again. I would like to give my colleague Norman some more talking time, but in the end,
We'll
I
get
came
there.
up. Yeah, we will get there. So I came up with the name, and it was it's a bit complicated. Through most parts of my life, I was suffering from chronic nightmares, the kind where I'm screaming myself awake in the middle of the night, and it was very present thing in my life because the reasons why I have these nightmares are rooted in my biography. It's not just like it's coming from nothing or something like that. And within these dreams, there are certain themes or concepts that are returning from time to time. And one was, that there was in the middle of the dreams, it could be a dream about anything. And in the middle of the dreams, it started that suddenly everything goes dark or went black. And darkness is mostly seen as the absence of light, a room without light, that's darkness. A space without light, there you have darkness. And it was not talking about the darkness like that. It was more like some material thing, like the opposite of light. This is a part of the lyrics of Chasing a Behemoth, is a crawling darkness. It fills my sight. It's not just black. It's like the opposite of light. It is something that consumes you, that is crawling towards you. It has not a form or a body or something like that. I think it's hard to explain. Maybe you catch what I'm talking about. And this is a recurring concept that is coming up again and again and again and again. And with the time, it evolved just from this crawling darkness that infiltrates everything. It starts getting more into a form. And there was, I think it's not that much time before we founded the band that I had a dream again where it comes again at me, and there was a person with me I didn't know. And the cover of the first of the EP was also inspired by that dream. It was at this dream that I was on a boat and I was sailing into nothingness towards some monolithic structure. And behind that structure, this darkness is rising again. And I asked the person I'm at the boat with, what is this? And he told me, this is the Grand Devourer. And this is where the band name came from. And this is where the idea for the cover has come from.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry that you got those, chronic nightmares, but sounds like it feeds and inspires your artistic side like quite a bit. So that's
All
that's
great
a pretty
art is
cool
made by suffering, and so are we.
yes.
Yeah. Luckily, I had overcome that by now. So the last year I have gone through a lot. I mean, a very lot of personal improvement, and I've overcome that.
Are you guys all in the same town, and are you able to practice together? Like, you able to do like weekly or bi-weekly rehearsals in person?
Yeah, the short answer is yes. And we live all in Hanover, and we come together exactly as you said it, one time a week. Most of the time, sometimes obviously not, but this is our routine. Yeah.
Okay. So, for the EP, Norman, had you joined the band in time? Like, are you on the recording?
No, not really, actually, because the drums on the first recording are programmed. It's and the drum tracks were already written. Six of the 7 songs are written by Marvin, and I think he did a phenomenal job at that. And a little bit of me has found its way on Chasing a Behemoth, because this was the song we were working on when I had already joined the band, but the other ones were actually quite ready. So I had the great opportunity to go in to join the band, and already have they already had all this material, which was great, and I basically just had to learn it and rehearse it a little bit, and then we played all the concerts, and yeah, it was amazing. So it's as Kai mentioned before, it was really lucky timing, because Marvin had left the band for you know just a little bit of time, 5 minutes ago, you could say. And Hank, who was a buddy of mine prior to his involvement in Grand Devourer, just called me, and so all this happened. And it came quite fluently, it was the guys didn't had the guys wie sagt man, ihr musstet nicht lange musstet nicht lange nach mir suchen?
We do not have to waste much time in
Yeah,
looking for a new drummer. We just found him almost instantly.
Yeah,
I think
exactly.
2 weeks after Marvin has left.
Yeah, about that. Yeah.
Perfect. So it was just coming together, man. It was just the universe brought you all together. So
Yeah.
obviously it was meant to be. That's awesome. Looking forward
Well-
to seeing what comes after. What comes next, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things is by you being able to put your little touches into the Chasing a Behemoth track, that, to me helps, I don't know, like meld the project together. It was a short amount of time, but you were able to add some influence and bring something to the table. And then, that's how the relationship was built, was on, those good things. And so, like, I think whenever relationships are built on good things, because everybody's trying to work hard and they all have that common goal, those are the relationships I feel like that have the longevity.
Yeah. And I'm also really excited about our next project because, yeah, I don't want to tell you too much yet because it's all still in the works, but you might hear from me as well, and I could be on some recording, and then you
And
can
maybe
listen
sooner
to
than you're
my thunderous
expecting.
playing.
Awesome. That was going to be
So
one of my
exciting.
questions is what do you guys have uh for everyone to look forward to coming up in the future? Do you guys have
Yeah, we,
plans and are you working on anything right now?
yeah, we have a lot of plans to be honest, because the creative flow is just roaring at the moment. In the aftermath of the first EP, we made a couple of other songs, and it was not like this typical B-side songs where you thought, okay, they're just the leftovers, they're not as good as the rest, and we spare them. Like, no, 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 not something like that. It was more like we were in a place where the production of a first record has already taken that much time that we have said, okay, we have to make a cut now because we're afraid that we might lose the momentum and the energy that we have at the moment when we're just when we are if we would wait another 6 months from now. So let's just make a cut straight here. We put on the record what we had already, and the songs that are not finished yet, put them aside for a little while. And after the whole recording was done, we put them back from the chest of wonders, still looked at them, and then we brought up Norman with his new point of view. And to be honest, in Germany we say Eigenlob stinkt. How can you translate that one? If you what was ein Lob?
Oh
If you
man.
if you
Now we're
complimenting
struggling.
complimenting yourself too
Yeah.
much stings.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
As I said, German saying sounds stupid in English, so I don't want to compliment us too much. But I'm so fucking excited what we did with these songs. There will be a song. It will be called Wrath Incarnate, and we cooked it together in one of our last rehearsals, and it was such a phenomenal rehearsal because this song really came into life in front of all of our eyes while we are standing in a circle and just working on it together. And we have another song who will be called Out There.
Mm.
I know Norman loved this song, and it was an
One of
absolute,
my favorites.
yeah, and it will be an absolute beast. I'm so excited to finally recording it, which will be the recording will be very, very soon. And I mean by that, very
Yes.
soon. And there will be some kind of Tonträger.
Tonträger!
Tonträger. There will be
Perfect.
some
We
kind
will
of
put it.
release.
We will put it on CD.
Yeah, there will be some kind and some form of release more sooner than later, where it will be a part of. And we are very excited about that project because there is a lot of crazy stuff going around, yeah, that is around that. We're making we're shooting a promo clip that will not be a musical clip or something like that, and this will be a lot of fun, and I'm very excited for the near future. And after that, more towards fall or winter, we will concentrate our work wholly on writing the first full album.
What did you say in the last interview? We will put ourselves in the dungeon.
Yeah,
That was yeah.
in the Dungeons of Darkness, where we I don't know, hold sinister rituals and
Yeah,
summoning the demonic powers of bloodthirsty and ancient gods who
yeah,
will
something like this.
strengthen us with their bloodlust, and then we will create something crazy.
Yeah, I had to chuckle a little bit because we did an interview a couple of days ago, and he said something like we will lock ourselves into the dungeon and work on it or something like this.
Love it. You got to find a way to feed the devourer.
Yes.
That's right.
There you go. Right?
Oh goodness.
The devourer
Well,
must eat.
yes. Would we want to just go ahead and play a song right now. We've been talking
Let's
about.
do it.
Nice.
We briefly mentioned, okay, guys, because they put out an EP this year. It's called Traversing the Void. Kai gave us a real cool rundown of where the imagery for this came from, and also just the band name and how it all played into, you know, some dream experiences that he had, which is really cool to see how the influence. Because when he was talking earlier about the lyrics and how he writes the lyrics and the feeling that goes into them, like they even have feeling into their band name and into their artwork. Like, this is real stuff. And so it's really cool to just see the influence of how you took this and, you know, like this little dream, and you guys evolved it into this. So Traversing the Void EP that was released this year, guys, go check it out. It's not even going to take too much of your time, and every track is killer. Every track is killer. Now, we've been talking about one, we've mentioned it several times here, Chasing a Behemoth. That was one that you brought up even in the very beginning, Kai, whenever you started talking. And then as Norman started adding in, you know, whenever he joined the band, this is one that we said he got to put some touches on with the writing process as well. So really excited. I don't know if I could talk any more about it, because the only way, right, is to share the song. So Grand Devourer, Traversing the Void EP, the track Chasing a Behemoth. Enjoy. All right, that is awesome. Awesome song, guys. Thanks for letting us play that. Thanks again for all the stories behind it too, because it's freaking awesome. And anyway, I think we're short on time. So Brandon, what else do we want to hop on here before we
Well,
run out?
do you have a couple more minutes for us, Kai? Because Zoomy puts together some like random fun questions that we just kind of rocket through.
No problem. As somebody might notice, I had eye contact with my girl through the interview from time to time, and she gave me some special sign language that it's not. I have to not worry too much. So maybe we have just another 30 minutes or something like that.
Okay. We're gonna do these fast five. We call it the fast five. These
Yes.
are random, not necessarily music related questions about you and Norman as individuals, your kind of preferences. There doesn't have to be much to it. He's just gonna ask you a question, and just the first thing that comes to your mind. It's kind of a fun little exercise we do. So
Yes.
I'll let Zoomy take that over, and we'll rock it through these. You'll both answer them. Kind of like we'll go through one of you with the quick five, and then we'll switch over and do the other person the quick five. It should only take a couple minutes.
Norman starts. That's fair. That's only
Okay.
fair.
I was gonna say let's see what Norman has. So he's gonna
Yep.
set the tone because are you ready, Norman?
Of course.
All right. So they're not hard at all. Like I said, just wanting to get to go know you guys just a little bit better. So what is your favorite food?
Favorite food? Oh God.
Yeah.
Do I have one? When I was younger, I loved pizza.
That's a good one.
But I still love it today. I just don't eat it as often as
All
I
right.
used to.
What's your favorite pizza?
That's what I was gonna say.
Oh God. I used to I used to eat it with onions and with, oh God, was ist Kapern auf Englisch?
Fuck my life. But yeah, let me Google it.
Olives and let me ask Dr. Google. One second.
Yeah. Okay, so olives and I like olives and onions on my pizza too. That's for sure. I like Brandon. He probably says
I'm
no.
like meat. I'm like meat only on my pizza. So you get to. I am one of those guys. I'll do pineapple. I like.
Yeah, pineapples.
I give in the German word, and the English translation
It's
is
hijack.
hijack, which it's of course not, because the German word also means to hijack something. Oh
Oh.
man! So I have to check it. Let me see.
That's
Okay.
so funny.
Well, Norman.
Capers.
Oh, capers. Okay.
Yeah.
Ah, capers. Yeah. Okay.
It's not a word you usually often use, when you're speaking another language. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. So no meat, just the veggies?
no, I don't have anything against meat, but I don't have to eat it all the time.
I got you.
But
Okay.
but I'm not vegan or something like that.
I got you. You know what? I'm like you, man. I'm like I don't have to have it on my pizza, but
Yeah.
I eat meat just fine as well.
Yeah.
But
But I'm
Yes,
cool
you
with
Just
it.
say you don't have to beat the meat all the time.
not all the time.
No,
The last time
Have-
we
have
had
to
an
or
overnight.
get to?
What, please?
Have
Have
to
to.
or get to.
Yeah. Two different things.
I'm not sure at the moment, but the last time we had an overnight after a gig, I saw something else, my friend.
Okay, I don't know what you're talking about. No
Beating
comment.
the meat all night long.
Oh yeah.
I don't even know what he's talking about. I think he tries to be funny. So next
my
question,
British
please.
Question 2. What is your favorite movie?
It used to be Star Wars before Disney bought it.
I see.
Now it isn't anymore, any longer. But I used to love it when I was little, and when George Lucas was the man in charge. Let's put it that way.
I get you. I've always loved Star Wars, so I understand.
Yeah.
Favorite activity to relax?
But sorry, one sentence to interrupt. But Andor season 2 is
God.
the tits.
Yes. Funny backstory. Kai wants to force me to watch this new show, so I don't miss out on it. And I said to him, if we do that, then you have to play this old MMO from Star Wars. You know, this stuff before Disney took over. This World of Warcraft kind of thing. You know, when storytelling was actually good. You know.
Yeah,
There you go.
yeah. So, what is your favorite activity to relax?
Beat the meat.
Well, just hang out, I guess. To go into nature, actually.
That's a
I
good
have,
one.
the forest is 1 minute away from where I live, so it's really cool. So I go into nature and get rid of the stank of humanity, or something edgy.
Nice.
So, tell me something real quick. Is the forest near you? Is that Schwarzwald?
No,
No.
this is in was heißt nochmal Bayern auf Englisch?
Bavaria. No, it's
Bavaria.
we are at the more northern part of
Yeah,
Germany.
we are northern
and,
Germany.
The Schwarzwald is in Bavaria, which is the southest state
Okay.
of Germany. And to give a quick side note, in Hanover we have the biggest forest within the borders of a city
Yeah.
in whole Europe.
And it's called the Eilenriede.
Yes, and it's massive. It's massive. I'm living at the other side of the town, and 2 minutes from my home, this forest starts. And I can walk up this forest for almost, I think, 30 to 45 minutes before I am at Norman's home.
Yeah, that's right.
Wow.
Yeah.
Fun story. Things you do when you're a teenager and shouldn't do is walk through this dark forest. Yeah, no shit. When I was 19, I walked through the forest to another friend, and it was utterly dark. I couldn't see the hand before my eyes. And this is stupid stuff you do when you're young. But it was very black metal, you know?
That's
So,
awesome.
Yeah.
Isn't that where
There you
Hansel
go.
and Gretel came from?
Yeah. Huh?
Hansel
sorry?
and Gretel, going into the forest.
yeah.
Did you find a
Oh,
jelly made of
Yes,
candy?
yes.
Not the Eilenriede, but of course in ancient Germany we had even more forest than we have today. So this played a role, obviously, in this kind of storytelling.
Sure.
I think the brothers Grimm are from Thuringia, and I think all of their fairy tales are also playing in Thuringia. And Thuringia is one of the states of Germany that is, till now, had lots of forests, lots of ruins of ancient castles and stuff like that. Yeah.
Very cool.
We're like the Scandinavians, but our language is not as hard to learn as theirs.
Yeah.
So here you go.
That's so funny. Just so you know, the reason I specifically asked about Schwarzwald is my last name is Zumwalt. And that is, from what I found, is from the Bavarian area. And it translates as like of the forest or people of the forest or something like that. And it was
Pretty cool name.
Yeah, it was that area of, Germany, Bavaria, where I guess my family name originated from. And they migrated to the United States, or immigrated, I guess is the right word, to the United States in like 1800s. So it's been a long time that my name has actually been in the United States, but I've always wanted to go to Germany for that purpose.
You can always come back and we show you around in the forest. So
Yes.
Yeah.
let's
We can-
fucking do that.
We can do the black metal dance through the forest, Norman.
Yeah.
But the serious black metal band,
Okay.
not the funny one.
Okay.
Or
Serious.
we need Abath from Immortal.
Always big sunglasses, not emperor
Yeah.
sunglasses.
Always big sunglasses, not emperor sunglasses.
Okay. All right. What is okay. This is the same thing then. I was going to say, what's the coolest thing to do in your city? Is it also the forest?
To me, the answer is yes. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, then what is your favorite dinosaur?
The raptor, obviously.
The
Yeah,
raptor.
good choice.
Yeah, that is a good one. That is a good one. I like in Jurassic Park how it taps its foot.
Yeah.
You know, its claw.
Yeah. That's
Well,
great.
cool. Let's jump over to Kai. Let him do the
Yes.
5 questions real quick. We'll close out, and we'll let you get back to hanging out. You know, on your vacation, Kai.
Yeah, that's thanks. No,
But we're hanging out.
first,
Well, I mean, with his girl, she
I
keeps
know.
giving
All
him
right.
the eye.
Let's
She
do
might
these
not be
questions.
giving him the eyes that are like, "Hey, you have plenty more time." She may be giving him the eyes of like, "Hey, are you going to screw this up tonight?" So, all right,
this podcast is like having vacation from a vacation.
you're right. It's a vacation within the vacation.
Yeah.
What is your
Okay.
favorite food?
Lasagna.
Ooh, good
Till-
choice.
Till my earliest childhood, until today, I always love a good lasagna with meat all the way, a lot of cheese and stuff like that. Yeah.
Mm. All right, what about your favorite movie?
Oh, that's in the end, I think it might be the Fellowship of the Rings. I think it's very hard to name one specific absolute favorite movie of all time because it always depends on what mood you are, stuff like that. What kind of topics are you into at the moment? I also love the old Star Wars trilogy. Absolutely, there's so many movies I love to cut short. The Fellowship of the Rings is the one movie I could always watch. Like with you, like Megadeth is the one band you can always hear. It's like you can always put on the Fellowship, and it always gets me. And I have this tradition during the Christmas time where I sit down and watch all 3 of them.
Me too.
Yeah,
What the fuck?
the next time
Let's do it together.
Yeah.
Yeah, that takes a whole day. You
Oh,
know?
yeah,
Yeah.
the universe is bringing you all together. Now you get together at Christmas and watch Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. I learned
Then
things from Kai I didn't even know before this interview.
we're just growing closer and closer every day.
Yeah.
That's why we do these questions. See, you guys are even learning about each other. It's great.
Yeah. But back then, I always made Band of Brothers binge marathon, and it's
I watch that every year around this
Yeah.
time because of Memorial Day here in the United States. So, like, I watch all 10 episodes, and then that makes me think, okay, well, now I got to watch the Pacific. And then,
Yeah.
and then now they've got Masters of the Air. So now
I
there's,
didn't watched it yet
oh, it's good.
because
It's good.
yeah, but the problem is in Germany we have this weird streaming service policy where you never really know what show is running on which streaming service at what time. We don't have HBO as a specific streaming service here in Germany. It was like the same shit with Peacemaker. I think we have to wait 1.5 years till it was on one of the streaming services that you usually use. It was I don't know on some shitty German D tier streaming service that nobody have.
Weird.
And you said,
Okay.
no, I'm not paying 20 additional bucks just to rent this shitty program. I just wait till it is on Amazon.
There you go.
But okay, we are diving already
Well,
back into.
I bet you'll enjoy it when it comes around then if you like Band of Brothers.
I will watch it. I
Right.
love Band of Brothers. It's a brilliant show. I loved The Pacific, although it is not as good as Band of Brothers. But in the end, what show could be better than Band of Brothers?
Exactly. Band
Yeah,
of
but that's
Brothers
not
is the top
top
of the
tier.
3, but it's even I even put it above a lot of other like just war movies. Like it's up there. Like it's so well done.
I'm very sure that I do not know one piece of war cinema or TV show that stands above Band of Brothers. I think it's absolute top notch.
I'm with
I'm
you.
actually a big fan of the movie Downfall, which is
Right.
all this kind of stuff from the German perspective at that time, and I think it's memed to death in America because they always put these subtitles under it when Hitler
He was raging out because the counterattack of Steiner did not happen.
yeah.
Everyone who never know what this scene really was about, it was about that Hitler brought his stuff around him
Yeah.
and they're telling him how the situation was at the moment.
Yeah.
And then he said the iconic sentence, "Everything will be all right when the counterattack of Steiner starts."
Yeah.
And then the general told him, "My Führer,
It didn't happen.
Steiner was not able to gather enough troops." And then there is the scene where he's taking his glasses
His glasses off.
and telling everyone to fuck off.
Leave the room.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
leave the room. Yes.
Yeah. And
Okay,
and
but-
in America, you have all these videos where they put the craziest shit on subtitles, like everyone who liked the Last Jedi, leave the room,
Oh.
and stuff like that. You know? So
I see. I see
the
now.
I think I saw that. It
Yeah,
came out
the
in the early
movie-
2000s, right?
Yeah. The movie is a meme now, but the movie itself is actually really good, and it's one of the few good German productions which focuses on this particular dark time. You know.
What is your favorite activity to relax?
Beating the meat.
Yes.
I knew it. I knew it. Do you agree that the forest in your city is the coolest thing to do while you're there?
If you are there to visit the city, I'm not sure. I think it's more like something that you really, really, really enjoy while you're living in a very big city. Hanover is not a small city, it is a big city. And that you have the possibility to go into a forest and enjoy the quietness of this place while you are still within the borders of your city and you do not have to drive 1.5 hours. This is absolutely bombastic.
Makes perfect sense. Well, okay,
Yes.
finally.
Yeah.
What is your favorite dinosaur?
My favorite dinosaur, has it got to be a real one? Because I'm not sure if of this old dinosaur from Jurassic Park 1, the venomous one who can spit venom. with this crazy- I'm not sure if he is real. If he is real,
The Dilophosaur
Yeah.
is actually real, but he didn't spit venom, and he didn't have these.
yeah, then he could go and fuck off. So in this case, I have to say the Triceratops.
Solid
Like
choice.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Michael Crichton did the novels for these movies, and in the second novel, it's actually better than the movie, I think. And there are dinosaurs called Carnotaurus. I don't fucking know how it's pronounced in English, but they can actually camouflage, and they have little horns above their eyes, and it's really creepy stuff. You should all read the novels. They are.
I might have to check them out.
Even not better than the movies.
Man, yeah, I'll definitely check them out. And Kai, I know we
Yes.
got to close out, man. I know we got to get out of here. You got to get back
Yeah.
to your vacation. And
Yes.
so I just want to say one really quick thank you for taking the time. I know that y'all are busy and it is not an early time of the day for you guys either. Everybody out there, we have a 7-hour time difference. So,
Yeah.
just these guys taking the time to hang with us is super important and we're so grateful. And I want everybody out there right now, like, go check out Grand Devourer. Like, go give this EP that they put out, Traversing the Void. Give it a listen, spin it a few times, and I guarantee you will like it. And, reach out to these guys. Tell them what you think about it. Give them good comments. Share their stuff out on social media so that everybody else can get a chance to listen to it, because that's what we want. We want everybody to hear something new, and we want them to be listening to some good metal. And so, thank you both. Thank you, Norman. Thank you, Kai, for your time today. And let us know if there's ever anything in the future we could do to help you guys out. If you want us to share something, we'd be more than happy to do whatever we could. So if you ever want to come back on the show again and talk a little bit more
absolutely.
about some movies, or whenever you guys get the album out, if you want to, come out and talk to us a little bit more about the album, we'd love to have you. You're welcome anytime. You guys are a part of the family. We love y'all. And Brando, I'll let you say your thank you real quick.
That's it. Just thank you guys so much for doing what you do. Keep doing it, and just stay true to what you guys are putting together.
Thank you very much for having us, and it was a pleasure talking to you.
Yeah, absolutely. It was an absolute blast, and I would love to return because there's so many topics in all areas of different genres of stuff we did not talk about. Thanks for having us. Have a great day, and to the audience, please subscribe the channel. It's very important for YouTube channels like that or podcasts to keep. It's also a vital, very vital part of keeping the cult of death and extreme metal alive. Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Thank you.
guys.
Thank you guys. Metal Block over and out.